In this video we'll discuss how the FormView control can display data from hierarchical lists. So you can see here we have a UX component that has a parent list which is displaying data from the Northwind customer table. We have a child list which is displaying the data from the Northwind orders table, and this list here is a child of the customer list, so that you can see that basically for each customer we get to see the orders for that customer. And then we have the FormView control that is displaying data from the customer list. So you can see here that this FormView control actually has two different layouts. The first layout, called customers, is displaying data from the selected customer, and then when we click on orders we're seeing a different layout of the FormView control that is displaying all of the orders for the selected customer. So for example, if we go back over here, this first customer has 6 orders, and so you can see here are the 6 orders for that customer. If we click on the next row here, we see the 4 orders for that customer. So if we go back to design mode, we can see here are our two lists. There's the customer list, there's the orders list, which is a child of the customer list, and there's our FormView control. And this FormView control has two layouts. You can see that we've turned on the has multiple layout property, and we have two layouts. We have the default layout over here, which is displaying data from the customer table, and then we have the second layout, which we've called children. So here's our second layout called children, and this layout is displaying data from the child list. So you can see that when we go here and we say add item, the second layout is displaying data from this from the child list. So this is the list number 2. So there we have our two layouts, and when we tap on the button to select the appropriate layout, we switch from the default layout over here to the layout that displays the data from the child list. But in many applications what you're going to want is to use the list as a selector for the row that is displayed in the FormView control when the customer layout is displayed. And then when you switch to the orders layout, what you'd like to see here is not all of the orders for this customer, but you'd like to see just the order for the you'd like to see the order just for the selected row in the orders list. So this can be done by adding a little bit of JavaScript to the list control over here to set some state information in the FormView control. So let's go now to this list control, and we can look now at the onSelect event, and you can see that in the onSelect event right now we're going to get a pointer to the viewbox control that is nested inside the FormView control. So the FormView control is built on top of a viewbox control, and this is going to give us a pointer to the viewbox that is inside FormView number 1. And then once we have that pointer, we call the setState method on that viewbox, and we set the state. We set a property called selected row, and we set the selected row to the row number in the orders list that is currently selected. So this selected row property is going to get set to 0 when we click on the first record in the orders list. So now this is going to be the first, the selected row now is 0, now the selected row is 1, selected row is 2, etc. So what we'd like to do now is when we click on this row now, only show the data for the selected order. So let's go back now to the FormView control, and we can see that the FormView control itself basically has for this data group that displays the data from the orders list, there's a show hide expression over there. So what we're going to do is put a show hide expression over there, and we're going to I'm going to copy from the clipboard right now and then paste it in, and then I'll come back and explain exactly what's going on here. So I'm going to go there now and run it, and now I'll actually pause now and pick this up in the next video. So we're continuing now discussing how the form view control can be used to display data from hierarchical lists, and we've configured the form view control now to only display the selected order in the child orders list. So you can see that as we tap on different rows in the orders list, the form view control here is displaying just the data for the selected order, not the data for all of the orders. And then if we go to a different customer, we get to see the orders, and then clicking on a row in the orders list sets the data that is displayed in the form view control. So the way that we got the form view control here to display just the selected order and not all of the orders for the selected customer was by adding a show hide expression in the form view control. So here in the form view control, we're now editing the second layout, the layout for the children, for the orders list, and you can see here that for the data group we've got a show hide expression over here that basically says only show this group here when the count, so this is a system field, square bracket count, gives us the logical row number in the array of data that is currently being expanded by the template. So count will be 0 for the first order for a given customer, it'll be 1 for the second order, etc. And then we're going to basically only display this data group if the count is equal to this temporary value, temp.state.selected row. Now this value was set when we clicked on a row in the list control. So this value, temp.state.selected row, got set when we went to the list control over here, and we went to the select event, and we called the set state method to set the selected row property to the row in the orders list that was currently selected. So when we tap on a row in the orders list, this is going to set the value of the selected row property. So that tapping on the first row will set that value to 0. And so here in the form view control, this data group will only be shown if the if we're expanding the first row in the array of orders. So let's go back now and actually run it again. So we'll see that with the filter in place, we only get to see the current order that is selected. But if we go back to the form view control now and we remove the filter, so we'll go now and we'll just go there and remove the filter, and now when we run the form view control, when we click on the layout to see the data from the child list, we get to see all of the orders for the selected customer. So what we've shown in this video is how we can use the show hide expression in the template, in the form view template, to display data from only the row in the child list that was actually selected. Thanks very much for watching.